Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you guys here on this Monday the 22nd of July, 2024. Thank you for tuning in. I'll tell you guys what. They are going to be able to increase the internet speed from what it is now to, this is right away. They're able to do this right away, to 4.5 million times faster. It's hard to even get our head or comprehend or get our head around that number of 4.5 million times faster, but they're going to be able to transfer data at a speed of 301 terabytes per second. That's the equivalent of 9,000 high quality films, high definition films. So that's a lot of data per second. And so they're able to do this using light through a standard optical fiber. So it shows you how quick light can transfer speed. And I'm going to tell you guys, through Moore's law, this can increase faster and faster. This could double and double again and double again and double again. Just want to talk about something real quick. Theory of mine. My theory goes kind of like this. That we measure our lives in years and what we call time. I don't believe that time really exists. I think what really exists is data. And I know that's hard to get your head around. Time doesn't exist. But have you ever noticed time is a perception? Some nights you're really tired. You get home dog late from going to work, You hop in bed. Soon as your back hits the bed and your eyes shut, bang, you're gone. You open your eyes again, and it's like 10 hours or 9 hours has passed because you're dog tired. And for your perception, it seems like it's just a couple seconds ago you laid down in the bed and shut your eyes. It's because you are not streaming data. You stream data all day long. This is what your life is. You stream it in through your senses, your perceptions, your eyes stream data, and the focal point of your eyes is where you stream the most data. Your peripheral vision doesn't stream as much data as the focal point, and mostly around the focal point, which is probably about take one of those paper tubes from the inside a toilet paper or inside a paper towel and look through it like kids do. That hole in the end there, that's where you take in the most amount of data you take in on a daily basis is through that hole, where your focal point. Your eyes are always moving here or there, someplace else. And what you focus on, that's the data you're analyzing the most. Not so much your peripheral vision. Then you got your hearing. You're taking in data there, but the data stream would be less. And so what your life would be, 70 odd years, 80 years, is that data stream that occurs during that period of time. That's what you call time, the progression of time. So your analysis of that, it's all subjective. Time can be moving fast, slow. It's all relative, depending on how much data you're processing. I'm going to tell you right now, if you were to go, say, to a high school teacher and you were forced to sit down in the class and they gave you mathematical problems, even if you knew how to do them very easily, for a whole hour, just steady, you got to focus on this, and the teacher forced you to focus, that would be a long hour for you, having to process all those numbers. And by the time it was done, even if it was easy math for you, still by the time it was finished, your brain would probably be a bit tired because you're not used to it, taking in all that data again. So I think data is linked to time intrinsically. And so, if we were talking about, say, soon our science, and actually we have it now, but it's two-dimensional. You know, we have video games and things. They can be 3D if people wear one of those visors, helmets that they put on their head, you know. But most of the time they're looking at a screen, you know. But that's a world that they're creating in there. Now picture a time when we can move fully into a world like that, and it's coming soon, believe me. They'll be able to transfer your consciousness into a artificially, digitally created world within a computer. And back again, too. So, what about your perception of time in a game situation? If you were in a simulated environment or a simulated world created by computer, it would all come down to data, the speed of that data transmission. So going back again to they're increasing the speed of the internet by 4.5 million times. That's data speed. Your perception then. It would all be how much brain power you have to analyze each raw bit of data. So the faster your brain power, the quicker you could analyze that data. The how that would stretch out time. It would be just like the movie Interstellar with this time dilation, except this would be in the exact opposite. So instead of, what was it in this movie? They were there and like every 10 minutes, like a year went by in the real world or something like that when they were on this Miller's planet. This would be the exact opposite. If you went inside a simulated environment, and if your brain was able to handle the data at a much higher rate of speed and analyze it, then it would change the perception of time completely. So you could be inside a game world for, say, 10 years, inside a simulation for 10 years. And as soon as you broke off from that simulation and come back into base reality, if you were able to handle the information stream at that speed, or perceive it at that speed, only a few seconds would have went by in base reality, and years would go by in the simulation. And a lot of it has to do with how fast your brain is able to function within a situation like that. And so as they work on that technology as well, enhancing brain technology, they'll be able to transfer data quicker. So see, the computers are going to have to keep up as well, because right now they're up to 301 terabytes per second of input. That's 4.5 million times faster. I don't think they have the computers up to speed on the keeping up with the I don't think there's a computer out there that can handle 301 terabytes per second, is there? That's something to consider. Maybe that's some research that I should do. Well, I've got sidetracked a little bit talking about this subject this morning. Let's move on and find out what's happening in the world. Philippines have reached a deal with China to avoid the disputed shoal clashes in the shoals. This was a very big concern. A lot of people weren't watching this, but I was watching this because war could have broken out from this. Didn't happen, but there was a number of clashes where they were ramming ships, shooting water cannons at one another, and I think there was even injuries. Well, that's putting it right to the edge of war. And so this is really good, the fact that Philippines now says they reached a deal with China to avoid these disputed shoal clashes. So this is a good thing. It's going to take a little bit of the tensions down a notch in the South China Sea, which is really good. Now, as far as Biden stepping down, he just stepped down this weekend. Biden's brother says that they'll enjoy whatever time that they have left. That's what he says. I guess because of Biden's deteriorating faculties. I'll call it faculties. This is a good time to buy an ice cream machine for Biden. And he needs to get out there and do something on his golf game, too. Like, I was watching a picture, watching a little clip of him golfing and around the greens. And he can really work on his short game. He needs a lot of work on his short game. So this give him a chance to, to get out there and do some work on his short game and maybe get an ice cream machine so he can have all the ice cream he wants anytime he wants it, So anyway, I guess he's going to go to pasture on that. That's what's happening there. Bangladesh protesters issued demands amid shaky calm. Now, why this story is important to me is why I'm following this story is these revolts that are occurring in Bangladesh have a different flavor to them than the ordinary protests that are being done around the world in other places. It's much more intense. And right now in Bangladesh, and there's a shaky calm right now, but the protesters are issuing demands. Now that just tells you something right up front, that these protests are a little bit different. The protesters are issuing demands. And so I'm watching this very carefully because of the little bit of a difference in it. See, I'll tell you what's happening. Another reason why I'm watching this carefully is, if you were to take a can of spray paint and put it inside of ice and start turning the handle, right? Well, first the can might start to kink and stuff. Now remember, there's high pressure spray paint inside. We all know what's going to happen in the end. And this is exactly what's happening to all the people around the world right now because of the financial system and these wars that they got going on and everything else. Governments are just turning the screw on the vice on the people, and it's us that are inside the vice, all of us people around the world, every country. They're turning the crank, and first the can starts to kink. Now that's where we're at right now. We're in the kinking phase, where the pressure's coming on us, but the pressure's not going to stop. It's going to get tighter and tighter. You're going to get poorer and poorer, and the government's going to heap more and more tax on you to taken from all the people out there who are working and giving it to all the people who aren't working, etc., etc. It's just going to keep squeezing you tighter and tighter and tighter. So what's going to happen in the end is, and I'm watching carefully, is a big question mark. What's going to happen? How far will this go? With the rich getting richer, the poor getting poorer, the people getting squeezed tighter and tighter, at what point do they hit the breaking point? And I'm watching all this and I'm observing it with great fascination about how far. I think food is the big thing. And in fact, they've done tests on this, and food, I think, is the big thing. When people start to starve, that's when they lose it. Seriously, lose it. Okay, let's take a look at the silver price today. $28.93 for silver. It's down 26 cents. So, probably due for a little bounce now at this point. I don't see it going back down to $22 or anything like that. Taking a look at your Bitcoin today is at 66,980. So it's up a little bit. It's getting almost up to 67,000. Ethereum's at 3,457. And XRP is at 60.9 cents. Now, taking a look at the Dow Jones today, we're looking at down 3.39 points at 40,284. And the S&P is up 31 points at 5,536. So, it looks like the Dow's stabilizing a little bit there. Taking a look at crude oil. Crude oil is at $79.80, so it's dropped back below $80 again. Taking a look at our bonds and rates today, we're seeing climb in yields today. The U.S. 30-year has risen 3.1 basis points to 4.48. And the U.S. 10-year is at 4.26, and it's risen 2.7 basis points. Now, this is the way it wants to go, guys. With no intervention, these yields would probably continue to rise, and it would probably rise enough on the long end so that it outpaces the short end, and we don't have a yield curve inversion any longer. So you're looking at that 5.38 on the U.S. 2-month. You know, we would probably see the long end go higher than that even. So we're probably looking, if they don't do something about it, you know, we'd probably be looking at a 10-year around 6%, or a little bit over on the U.S. 30-year, probably 6.5, if they don't intervene. Because who's going to buy this crap? And countries are dumping this junk. Like China is trying to get out from under it as fast as they can, and I think they still got quite a lot of treasuries. And Japan needs it to help support the yen. I mean, that they're taking an awful beating, you know. How many yens to the U.S. dollar, you know? Anyway, it sounds a funny name for a currency, yen. Sounds like hen or an egg. Oh, I'm just joking around. But I mean, that is kind of a funny name for a currency, in my mind anyway. But I'm not Japanese. Maybe in Japanese it makes perfectly good sense. 104.4 for the US dollar index, and it's up today. So there you guys go. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for listening to some of my ideas on my theories that I form around what time is. But to me, it's just rational that time is the data stream that you take in. And it convinces me even more when I see things like your perception of time changes depending on what you're doing. Depending on what time of day it is and stuff. Depending on how much fun you're having and enjoying yourself, time moves a lot faster. When you're sleeping, time moves a lot faster. But does time really move faster, or is your data, the data you're taking in, changes? How much data you're able to perceive, or your perception of data. I'll catch you guys in the next show, and have a great day. Bye-bye.